The Phantom Sentinel. The TSS Phantom cut silently through the void, its matte black hull absorbing what little starlight reached this remote sector. Most military vessels bore proud emblems and registration markings, but the Phantom was different. A shadow among shadows, Earth's newest deep reconnaissance vessel, designed for one purpose: to vanish. Captain Alina Reyes stood on the bridge, her dark eyes fixed on the main view screen displaying the endless expanse of stars. At 42, she had the confident bearing of someone who had earned her command through merit rather than connections. The small scar across her right cheek, a reminder of the Proxima incident, only added to her reputation. "Status report," she said, her voice calm but carrying the unmistakable edge of authority. Lieutenant Commander Sato glanced up from his station. "All systems nominal, Captain. We're maintaining position at the edge of the Cerulean Nebula. Still no sign of pursuit." Reyes nodded. The Phantom had been patrolling the border between human space and the territories claimed by the two most powerful alien civilizations humanity had encountered: the crystalline Voidborn with their hive-mind consciousness, and the plasma-based Solarans with their religious devotion to stellar energy. For centuries, these empires had been locked in conflict, their mutual hatred keeping them too occupied to bother with the comparatively small human territories. Until now. "Captain," called Dr. Mikhail Volkov, the ship's sensor specialist. The lanky Russian's voice held an unusual tension. "I'm detecting unusual energy patterns from Sector 7 Alpha at the convergence point between Voidborn and Solaran territories." Reyes moved to his station. "Show me." The screen shifted to display a distant region of space. Strange energy patterns pulsed across the display, unlike any ship signature Reyes had seen before. "Those aren't normal vessel patterns," Sato commented, joining them at the sensor station. "No," Reyes agreed, her expression hardening. "Magnify that sector." As the image clarified, the bridge crew fell silent. There, gathered in what should have been contested space, was a massive congregation of ships from both empires. "I don't believe it," Sato whispered. On the screen, crystalline Voidborn vessels with their geometric, translucent hulls floated alongside the plasma-sheathed, corona-crowned Solaran warships. There was no combat, only coordination. "They're working together," Reyes said, her voice hardening with each word. "Get me closer visual confirmation." As the Phantom's advanced optical systems focused on the alien assembly, they could see exchange vessels moving between the two fleets, transferring personnel and equipment. Lieutenant Sophia Chen, the intelligence officer, ran a quick analysis. "Captain, based on the configuration and number of vessels, this is an invasion force." She paused, double-checking her calculations. "And it's not aimed at each other. It's aimed at us," Reyes finished, the realization settling over the bridge like a shroud. Two ancient enemies, their mutual hatred supposedly irreconcilable, had formed an alliance against humanity. The implications were staggering. "Alert Earth Command immediately," Reyes ordered. "Full data package, priority transmission. Lieutenant Sato, plot the fastest course back to Earth space." "Course plotted, Captain," Sato confirmed moments later. "Execute." The Phantom turned and accelerated away from the alien fleet. For 30 minutes, they maintained their course, the tension on the bridge palpable as they prepared to jump to FTL once they cleared the nebula's interference. Then the alarm sounded. Multiple ships approaching from Sector 3. Chen called out. "Voidborn interceptors, 6 of them." Reyes gripped the arms of her command chair. "They'd spotted us. Maximum speed." The Phantom surged forward, its engines pushing to their limits, but the Voidborn ships were gaining. "They're charging weapons," Sato reported. The first crystalline energy blast flashed past the ship's port side. The second struck the aft shields. "Shields at 78%. Chief Engineer Julian Martinez called from the engineering station. "Another hit like that, and our rear quadrant will be compromised." Reyes made the decision she had hoped to avoid. "Chief, prepare the phase shift drive." Martinez looked up in alarm. Captain, it's not fully tested. We don't know if. We don't have a choice. Do it. As the engineer hurried to prepare the experimental drive, more blasts hit the Phantom. The ship shuddered with each impact. Shields at 43%, came the report. Power fluctuations in the main grid. Martinez's voice came through the comm system. Phase drive ready, but I can only give you one jump, Captain. The coolant system isn't designed for repeated use. All crew, brace for phase shift. Rise ordered. Execute when ready, Chief. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the world around them seemed to blur. Stars stretched into lines, and a high-pitched whine filled the ship. Every crew member felt a strange sensation, as if their bodies were being pulled in all directions at once. When reality snapped back into focus, the enemy ships were gone. Status report, Rise called out, fighting a wave of nausea that the phase shift had caused. We've jumped approximately 2 light years, Sato reported, checking his instruments. No sign of pursuit. The brief celebration was cut short by Martinez's voice. Captain, we have a problem. The long-range communications array is completely fried. The phase shift overloaded the entire system. Can you fix it? Yes, but it will take days, maybe weeks with the parts we have on board. Reyes moved to the center of the bridge, her face illuminated by the glow of the monitors. The situation was clear. They had discovered a massive threat to Earth, but couldn't warn anyone about it. Options, she asked her officers. Sato spoke first. We could try to reach the nearest human outpost for repairs. That would take too long, Chen countered. By then, the invasion could already be underway. Ray stood silent for a long moment, weighing her choices. The regulations said she should return to Earth or the nearest base, but her instincts told her something else. If we can't warn Earth, she finally said, then we'll have to disrupt this invasion ourselves. The bridge crew looked at her in shock. Captain, Sato questioned, we're one ship against 2 empires. Reyes's eyes hardened with resolve. One ship they don't expect. One ship with technology they've never seen before. She looked around at her crew. We can't match their numbers, but we can create chaos. We can buy Earth time. She moved to the tactical display and pointed at the map of enemy territory. Set course for the Voidborn's forward staging area. We're going to strike first. As the Phantom turned and slipped into enemy territory, Rice knew she was breaking every rule in the book. But with Earth's survival at stake, she was willing to risk everything. One human warship against 2 vast alien empires. The odds were impossible. But sometimes, impossible odds were exactly what humans did best. 4 days passed as the Phantom moved through enemy space like a ghost, its stealth systems hiding it from alien sensors. Captain Rice stood before the tactical display, studying the glowing marks that represented enemy vessels. The largest cluster marked the main Voidborn staging area, where ships gathered for the planned invasion of Earth. Our scans are complete, Captain, said Lieutenant Chen, approaching with a datapad. I've identified their primary antimatter production facility. It's supplying the entire invasion fleet. Reyes nodded. Show me. Chen brought up an image of a massive space station surrounded by sleek crystalline structures. Voidborn warships moved in and out, taking on supplies. If we hit that, we could delay their operations for weeks, Reyes said. Sato joined them, his face serious. Captain, I've been monitoring their communications. The Solarans have sent a delegation to coordinate the attack plans. Their High Archonkelos is meeting with Voidborn Overseer 6 today. Perfect timing for us to introduce ourselves, Reyes said with a grim smile. The bridge crew gathered around as Reyes outlined her plan. It was dangerous, but if it worked, it would throw the enemy into confusion. Questions, Reyes asked when she finished. Chief Engineer Martinez raised his hand. The phase drive is still unstable, Captain. We might get one more jump out of it, but I can't guarantee more than that. We'll save it for an emergency, Reyes replied. For now, we go in with conventional drives and rely on our stealth. She turned to address the entire bridge. I know what I'm asking of you goes against standard protocol. If anyone objects to this mission, speak now." The bridge remained silent. Every crew member understood the stakes. "Very well," Rice said. "Battle stations. We move in 1 hour." Overseer 6 stood at the viewport of her command ship, watching as Solaran vessels docked at the Voidborn staging area. Her crystalline form refracted the starlight into rainbows across the bridge. The alliance with the Solarans displeased her, but their combined might would crush the humans once and for all. "High Archon Kalos has arrived," Overseer reported her aide. 6 turned as the Solaran official entered the bridge. Unlike the crystalline Voidborn, the Solarans were beings of plasma energy contained within humanoid environmental suits that glowed with an inner fire. "Archon Kalos." 6 greeted coldly. "I trust your journey was uneventful." Kalos's body flared brighter, a sign of formal acknowledgement. "Overseer 6, my ship encountered no difficulties. Are the preparations proceeding as scheduled?" "Of course," 6 replied. "Our antimatter reserves are at maximum capacity. The attack fleet will be ready to launch within 15 standard days." Kalos moved to the tactical display. "The humans must not be given any warning. Their technology advances too quickly. If we wait another cycle, they may develop weapons that can challenge even our combined forces." 6 was about to respond when an alarm blared through the command ship. "What is happening?" she demanded. Her tactical officer's voice vibrated with confusion. "Unknown vessel approaching the antimatter facility. It's not responding to identification requests." "Show me." The screen switched to show a dark ship moving fast toward the facility. It fired a spread of missiles before any of the defense systems could respond. "All ships, intercept that vessel," 6 ordered. On the Phantom, Captain Rice watched as their missiles streaked toward the antimatter facility. "Direct hit," Sato called out. "Their defensive shields are failing." The missiles struck the facility's main storage tanks. The explosion started small, then grew as one antimatter containment field after another collapsed. The blast wave expanded, engulfing nearby vessels. "Secondary explosions all along the facility," Chen reported. "It's breaking apart." Reyes gripped the arms of her command chair. "Bring us around for a second pass. Target their command and control systems." The Phantom banked sharply, evading the first wave of enemy fighters scrambling to respond. Its main guns fired, striking a Voidborn communications array. "Multiple enemy vessels moving to intercept," Sato warned, including a Solaran cruiser. Reyes studied the tactical display. Dozens of enemy ships were now moving toward them from all directions. "Continue attack run, then prepare to withdraw on my mark," she ordered calmly. The Phantom shuddered as enemy fire started to connect with its shields. "Shields at 82%, reported the tactical officer. The human warship fired again, its energy weapons slicing through a Voidborn destroyer that had moved to block their path. "More explosions at the antimatter facility," Chen called out. "Captain, I'm picking up a chain reaction. The whole station is going critical." Reyes watched as the facility began to break apart, massive explosions rippling across its structure. Nearby ships were caught in the blasts, their hulls cracking open from the heat and pressure. "All weapons, target that Solaran cruiser," Reyes ordered, then full reverse thrust. The Phantom unleashed its full arsenal against the approaching Solaran vessel. The alien ship's shields flared bright orange, then collapsed under the barrage. Explosions bloomed across its hull. "Now get us out of here," Reyes commanded. The Phantom turned and accelerated away from the chaos it had created. Behind them, the antimatter facility finally exploded completely, the blast taking out over a dozen warships that had been too close to escape. "Damage report," 6 demanded, picking herself up from the floor of her command center. The shock wave from the facility explosion had rocked even her vessel. "Antimatter facility completely destroyed," Overseer, her aide reported. 14 warships lost, 9 more heavily damaged, and the attacking vessel escaped. Escaped. 6's crystalline form vibrated with rage. "Identify it." Her tactical officer worked frantically at the console. Based on the profile, it matches no known vessel class. It must be new, experimental. High Archon Kelos approached, his containment suit showing damage from the attack, plasma energy leaking from several breaches. This is unacceptable. Overseer 6, the Solaran hissed, his voice distorted by static. You assured me this staging area was secure. The humans could not have known about our alliance. 6 snapped back. Someone must have leaked information. Kelos's form flared with anger. Are you suggesting Solaran forces betrayed our plans? I am suggesting nothing. 6 replied coldly. But I will find this human ship and destroy it. As the two alien leaders argued, neither noticed a small maintenance drone slipping away from the command center. Once alone, the drone activated a hidden transmitter. This is Lieutenant Chen, a voice whispered from the device. Infiltration probe successful. The attack worked better than expected. Overseer 6 is taking personal command of the pursuit. The Solaran Archon is furious. They're already blaming each other for security failures. Miles away, safely hidden in a nebula cloud, Captain Rice received the transmission and smiled. Their remote infiltration drone had been a risky move, but now they had eyes and ears inside the enemy command. Well done, Lieutenant, Rice replied. Stay safe and keep reporting. We're just getting started. On the bridge of the Phantom, Rice turned to her crew. First blood is ours. Now let's make them chase ghosts while we plan our next strike. The human warship powered down its systems to minimum levels, becoming nearly invisible among the nebula gases. One battle won, but the war against two empires had only just begun. Empire against empire. 2 weeks after the antimatter facility attack, the Phantom drifted silently at the edge of a remote star system. The ship had evaded pursuing voidborn forces while making repairs and planning its next move. On the bridge, Dr. Amelia Dawson hunched over her workstation. The science officer had barely slept in days, her short silver-streaked hair disheveled as she focused on the problem Captain Rice had given her. Any progress, Doctor? Rice asked, bringing her a cup of the synth coffee that was the last luxury aboard the ship. Emilia looked up with tired eyes but smiled triumphantly. I think I've got it, Captain. Look at this. She pulled up a display showing energy patterns. Every ship has a unique energy signature, like a fingerprint. We can modify our output to mimic Solaran vessels. Ray studied the display. You mean we can disguise ourselves as a Solaran ship? Exactly. Their allies would see us as friendly until it's too late. Reyes's eyes lit up with understanding. A plan began to form in her mind, a plan that could turn two allies against each other. How soon can you have it ready? She asked. Give me 12 hours, Emilia replied. Reyes nodded and called a meeting of her senior officers. Sato, Martinez, and Sergeant Layla Kwan, the leader of the ship's tactical team, gathered around the command table. Dr. Dawson has found a way to disguise our energy signature, Reyes explained. We're going to hit voidborn targets while appearing to be Solaran ships. Kwan, a compact woman with keen eyes and the quiet demeanor of someone who had seen too many battles, leaned forward. Captain, if we're attacking voidborn bases, I'd like to lead a boarding party. We could gather intelligence and plant false evidence pointing to Solaran involvement. Risky, but I like it, Rice said. Chief Martinez, what's our status? The engineer rubbed his beard. Engines at 94%. Weapons fully operational. Shields at 87%. We're as ready as we'll ever be. Rice turned to Sato. Lieutenant Commander, I need targets. Important voidborn installations near the border. I've already identified 3 possibilities, Captain, Sato replied, bringing up a map. This outpost is their main communications relay for this sector. Taking it down would create confusion. Rice studied the map. That's our first target, and here's how we'll do it. Prime Director Zoll monitored operations at Voidborn Outpost 12. The tall crystalline being had never trusted the alliance with the Solarans. For millennia, their species had been enemies. Old hatreds didn't die so easily. Status of the border patrols. He asked his communications officer. All units report normal activity. Director. No sign of the human vessel that attacked the antimatter facility. Zell's crystalline form pulsed with satisfaction. At least the humans were focusing their attacks elsewhere now. Let 6 deal with them. Suddenly, alarms blared across the command center. Director, vessel approaching at high speed, shouted his sensor operator. It's a Solaran heavy cruiser. Impossible. They're supposed to be our allies. Zoll moved to the viewport. Hail them immediately. No response to communications. They're powering weapons. Raise shields. Battle stations. The first shots struck before the Voidborn outpost could fully prepare. The attacking ship moved with unexpected speed and precision, targeting communications arrays and defense systems. Our long-range communications are down. We can't contact the fleet. Zell's crystalline body vibrated with anger. The Solarans betrayed us. I knew we couldn't trust them. On the bridge of the Phantom, Rise watched as their disguised ship hammered the Voidborn outpost. Their shields are failing, Sato reported. Defense systems at 30% capacity. Rise nodded. Sergeant Quan, prepare your boarding team. You have 30 minutes on the ground. In the launch bay, Layla Quan and 6 tactical specialists checked their weapons and equipment. They wore modified armor that resembled Solaran environmental suits. Remember, Quan told her team, get in, plant the evidence, grab whatever intelligence you can, and get out. Make it look like the Solarans were searching for something specific. The boarding shuttle launched, heading toward the damaged Voidborn outpost. Using the chaos of the attack as cover, they docked at a secondary airlock and cut their way inside. Move out, Quan ordered as they entered the alien structure. The Voidborn troops they encountered were quickly subdued with specialized energy disruptors. Quan led her team to the main data center, where they planted fabricated Solaran command chips and downloaded Voidborn battle plans and communication protocols before heading back to their shuttle. Boarding team returning, Quan reported over the comm. Mission accomplished. Good work, Sergeant, Rise acknowledged. We're timing this perfectly. As the shuttle docked with the Phantom, the human warship fired one final volley at the Voidborn outpost's power core, not enough to destroy it, but enough to ensure the Voidborn would know they had been attacked. Energy signature shifting back to normal, Emilia announced as they pulled away. They won't be able to track us through the shift. The Phantom accelerated away from the crippled outpost, disappearing into the darkness of space before any Voidborn reinforcements could arrive. 2 days later, Prime Director Zoll stood before Overseer 6, his normally smooth crystalline form jagged with fury. They attacked without warning, he reported. A Solaran heavy cruiser specifically targeted our communications and data systems. 6's form pulsed with anger. High Archon Kilos denies any knowledge of this attack. He claims all his ships are accounted for. Then he is lying. Zoll projected a data crystal onto the table. We found this in our systems after the attack. Solaran access codes. They were searching for something. 6 studied the evidence. I will speak with Kilos personally about this breach of trust. Meanwhile, the Phantom was already preparing its next mission. Chief Engineer Martinez had modified their energy signature again, this time to match Voidborn vessels. The Voidborn disguise is ready, Captain, Martinez reported, but I don't recommend using these modifications too often. It puts a strain on our systems. Reyes nodded. We'll hit one Solaran target, then let them simmer for a while. Chen approached with a datapad. Captain, our infiltration drone's last transmission indicates the Voidborn are scrambling to explain the attack to the Solarans. Overseer 6 is demanding answers, but Archon Kilos is denying responsibility. Perfect. Reyes smiled. Now let's add fuel to the fire. Set course for Solaran Outpost Helios. This time, we're a Voidborn strike force with a grudge. Emilia looked concerned. Captain, are we sure this is the right strategy? We're manipulating them into fighting each other. Reyes's face grew serious. The alternative is letting them unite to destroy Earth. I'll take whatever moral burden this creates if it means saving our home. As the Phantom prepared for its next deception, Reyes knew they were walking a dangerous line. But against two vast empires, a single human warship had to use every advantage it could find, even if that meant becoming the Phantom menace that turned allies into enemies. A month had passed since the Phantom began its campaign of deception. The once solid alliance between the Voidborn and Solaran empires was now fracturing at its foundation. After striking targets on both sides while disguised as the other, Captain Reyes's strategy was working better than anyone had dared hope. The Phantom now hovered near a dense nebula, using the cosmic gases to hide from enemy sensors. On the bridge, Reyes studied reports from their infiltration drone, which remained embedded in the Voidborn command structure. "Captain," called Lieutenant Alex Ryder, approaching with a datapad. The young communications officer had spent days deciphering the latest enemy transmissions. "I've successfully broken the new Voidborn encryption. We now have access to all their secure communications." "Excellent work, Ryder. What have you found?" Alex displayed a series of decoded messages. Despite the growing tensions, they're still planning the invasion of Earth. They've moved the timetable up. The joint armada will launch in 2 weeks. Reyes's face darkened. "So we haven't done enough to stop them." "Just enough to make them nervous and rush their plans," Alex replied. Reyes called her senior officers to the tactical room. As they gathered around the holographic display, she outlined what they had learned. "Our efforts have created distrust, but not enough to break the alliance completely," Reyes explained. "We need something bigger, something that will turn their mistrust into open conflict." Sado studied the display showing the massive joint fleet gathering. "Even with all our successes, we're still just one ship against hundreds. That's why we need to make those hundreds fight each other," Reyes replied. "Ryder has located their joint command center. It's controlling the entire invasion fleet." She zoomed in on a large space station positioned at the edge of Voidborn territory. Ships from both empires surrounded it, preparing for the assault on Earth. "If we can infiltrate that command center," Reyes began, "and plant false orders in their systems, we might be able to turn this cold suspicion into hot conflict." "That's a suicide mission, Captain," Martins warned. "Security will be at maximum." "Not if we use both disguises simultaneously," Emilia interjected. "We could approach as a Voidborn vessel, then switch to a Solaran signature during the confusion of an initial attack." Reyes nodded. "Exactly. And there's one more card we can play." She turned to Martinez. "Chief, what's the status of our phase drive?" "I've made some modifications," Martins replied cautiously. "We might get one more jump out of it, but after that, it's burned out completely." "One jump is all we need," Reyes said. "Here's the plan. We approach as a Voidborn vessel reporting damage from a Solaran attack. Once we're close enough, we launch a limited strike, switch our signature to Solaran, and in the confusion, Sergeant Kwan's team boards the station." Kwan leaned forward. "What exactly are we planting?" "False fleet orders," Chen explained, bringing up a display. "I've created command protocols that would direct Voidborn ships to fire on Solaran vessels, and vice versa. Once activated, it would look like one side is betraying the other. When the shooting starts," Reyes continued, "we use our phase drive to jump clear. With any luck, by the time they sort out what happened, they'll be too busy fighting each other to invade Earth." The senior officers looked at each other. The plan was audacious, possibly suicidal, but it might be Earth's only chance. "We move in 12 hours, Reyes said. "Get some rest. You'll need it." The Joint Command Station loomed before them, a massive structure where the fate of 3 species would be decided. The Phantom approached slowly, transmitting Voidborn identification codes. "This is Voidborn Scout Vessel Adamant requesting emergency docking," Sado transmitted. We've sustained damage from a Solar-End patrol that violated agreed boundaries. There was a tense pause before the response came. Transmit your security clearance and approach Docking Bay 4 for inspection. Clearance codes transmitted, Seto confirmed, sending the stolen credentials they had obtained in previous raids. Be advised, our propulsion system is unstable. As they neared the station, Reyes gave the signal. Weapons, target their sensor array. Make it look like an accident. The Phantom fired a seemingly stray shot that struck the station's main sensor pylon. Station command. Our weapons discharged due to power surge. Seto called out in mock alarm. Request emergency assistance. In the confusion that followed, Emilia activated the Solar-End energy signature. To anyone watching, it would appear a Solar-End ship had just replaced the Voidborn vessel. Boarding team, go now, Reyes ordered. Quan's shuttle launched, speeding toward a maintenance airlock while the station's attention was focused on the apparent disappearance of a Voidborn ship and the sudden appearance of a Solar-End one. Alarms blared across the station as Quan's team made their way through service corridors, avoiding patrols. They reached the main command server room and quickly overpowered the guards. "We're in," Quan reported. "Uploading the false orders now." On the Phantom's bridge, Reyes watched as both Voidborn and Solar-End ships began to respond to the attack on their command center. "Multiple vessels approaching from all directions," Chen reported. "They're focusing on each other, trying to determine which side is responsible." "How much longer?" Reyes asked. "Upload at 80%, came Quan's reply. The first shots were fired. A Voidborn cruiser launching at what it believed was a treacherous Solar-End vessel. The Solar-End ship returned fire. "Upload complete," Quan announced. "Returning to shuttle now." "All hands, prepare for phase jump," Reyes ordered. "Sergeant, you have 3 minutes." Quan's team fought their way back to their shuttle, narrowly escaping as the station's security forces converged on their position. As the shuttle docked with the Phantom, the space around the command station had erupted into chaos. Voidborn and Solar-End ships fired on each other, responding to the false orders that each believed had come from their own command. "Phase drive ready," Martins reported. "But Captain, there's no way to control where we'll end up." "The calculations err." "Just get us out of here, Chief," Reyes interrupted. Now, the phase drive engaged, and reality blurred around them. The sensation was worse than before, every crew member feeling as if they were being torn apart at the molecular level. When they rematerialized, the Phantom was adrift in an unknown sector, its systems failing across the board. "Report," Reyes called, pulling herself up from the floor. "Phase drive is completely burned out," Martins reported. "Main power at 30%. Propulsion offline." "Where are we?" Reyes asked. Sato checked the navigation system. "Approximately 70 light-years from our previous position." We're in Earth space, Captain. Just outside the Arcturus colony." A cheer went up from the exhausted crew. Against all odds, the phase drive had brought them home. "Communications?" Reyes asked. "Still down," Ryder replied. "But I can rig a short-range emergency beacon." "Do it," Reyes ordered. 3 days later, as the Phantom drifted on minimal power, an Earth Defense Force cruiser responded to their beacon. Captain Reyes stood before the viewscreen as the EDF commander appeared. "This is Captain Elena Reyes of the TSS Phantom," she said. "Request immediate assistance and direct line to Fleet Command. Priority Alpha." The commander's eyes widened in recognition. "Captain Reyes. The Phantom was declared lost in action 2 months ago. What happened out there?" Reyes allowed herself a small smile for the first time in months. "Commander, we've just stopped an invasion, and I think we've bought humanity a few decades of peace." 6 weeks later, Earth's long-range observatories confirmed what the Phantom's crew already knew. The Voidborn and Solar-End fleets had fractured, their alliance shattered by mutual accusations of treachery. What had begun as a coordinated invasion force had devolved into the largest inter-empire conflict in recorded history. In a secure briefing room at Earth Defense Headquarters, Admiral Chen looked at the assembled officers. "The intelligence we've gathered confirms it," he said. "The Voidborn Solaran Alliance is completely dissolved. Their war has escalated to full-scale conflict across 12 sectors. Earth is no longer their primary concern." He turned to Reyes, now wearing the insignia of a rear admiral. "The odds were impossible, Admiral Reyes. One ship against two empires, and yet you prevailed." Reyes shook her head. "Not me, sir. My crew. They're the ones who made the impossible possible." As the meeting concluded, Reyes walked to the observation deck overlooking Earth's orbital shipyards. There, undergoing repairs, was the Phantom, battle-scarred but unbowed. Soon, it would return to service with a new mission: to watch the borders and ensure that humanity remained safe. One ship had changed the course of galactic history, not through overwhelming firepower or superior numbers, but through cunning, courage, and the unique human talent for turning powerful enemies against each other. Sometimes, Reyes reflected as she gazed at her ship, humanity's greatest strength wasn't technology or weapons, but the ability to find impossible solutions to impossible problems. And in a universe filled with ancient, powerful empires, that might be the most valuable strength of all.